My dear elegant ladies, there are certain sensual body language secrets that I really advise you to know, especially if you want to have an affluent man and the competition is slightly tougher to get one. However, it's not impossible. But with these body language secrets, you will definitely have an advantage. So let's find out what they are. Ladies, have you noticed that for some reason there are a category of women who seem to have it much easier to attract men even when they're not physically anything special? We all come across those ladies, and it's always a little mystery to what it is exactly that they do to attract those men and literally have men flocked around them. Well, let me tell you one thing, it's nothing more than simple body language. And I'm not going to talk about confidence in this video because actually that is a very important fundamental to body language and to attractive body language. But in this video, I want to share with you 10 sensual body language tips that definitely will work on every man out there. But since my school is focused on affluent men, this video will be dedicated to them. So let's start with number one, and I want to dive straight into the natural hip swing when you walk. Those women who know how to walk correctly in heels will actually have this naturally. Look at Samantha here in Sex and the City. She's just going for a casual stroll on the street, and yet she has that natural hip swing in her steps. It's not forced, she's not overdoing it like a catwalk model, she's simply just strolling down the street being herself, but being her attractive and feminine self. And that's exactly the type of walk we want to achieve when we're just walking casually past by a man. We want to have that natural hip action because the hips are very attractive to a man, and if you have that natural hip swing, he notices your hips and he gets attracted by it. I am going to show you an example of somebody who doesn't have that natural hip swing, which is something we don't want to have. That is more of a masculine walk. But the whole purpose is to walk with elegance and grace, yet with a big dose of femininity. I don't really think that walking in as a kind of diva, aggressive type of look at me, here I am type of attitude. I don't necessarily think that that's going to score with majority type of men. You will definitely attract a specific type of man, but I truly believe in kind of natural femininity, which is usually the most attractive to most men. It's definitely easier to walk in heels and get this natural hip swing. You might feel a little awkward when you're doing it wearing sneakers, but you can actually have a little slight touch of it. My advice is to put up a mirror in your house and walk towards the mirror and just look at your hip action and make sure it looks natural. Because ladies, that's how you practice it. So just pretend you're this feminine catwalk model back home, but reduce the aggression and just be kind of natural, and you'll get it. Let's talk about number two, the soft but natural and neutral seating position. If you are, for instance, sitting down in a restaurant and you see somebody that you are interested in, there is, of course, a way of having a more open type of body language so that your body language becomes inviting to him and maybe he will walk over to you as a result. If you are sitting as a stiff kind of too elegant woman, if I can say that, then the chances are that he's not going to be really interested in walking up to you because you will sit there and look too pompous, too much of a diva, too stiff, too boring maybe, too arrogant, and that's not going to work. If you, on the other hand, have too much attitude and you're there and you're sitting and somehow, you know what I mean, ladies? Then you're definitely not going to attract him because you are having this more aggressive tone in your language, more masculine. You are going to put him off, and nobody wants to approach a woman who looks aggressive. You really have to soften it up. You have to tone it down if you're prone to those qualities. And the whole purpose is to just be neutral. Another one that I would say is most common, and that one is the little hunch. You know, the one who sits there like, You know, ladies, when you are hunching yourself, when you're making yourself smaller, you are making yourself look kind of unworthy in a way. It makes you look a bit insecure, and nobody is attracted to insecure ladies, even though a lot of us are beneath the surface, but it's not something we would like to show off. So it's really important not to signal this kind of insecurity, making yourself smaller, weak, you know, limp handshake type of thing. No, we want to be strong ladies, but we want to be feminine and kind of have that perfect balance. Another one that is really bad, by the way, if you are in a place, let's say in a bar, restaurant, whatever, and you are sitting and you are all the time kind of looking around, almost like you're looking for somebody or you're chasing something, and that just looks desperate, and men pick it up immediately. They really don't like desperate women, so you really have to be clever in terms of how you look at people and also how much. You cannot do it too much, it will just ruin it for you. So how should we sit? Natural, straight, elegant, normal, soft, not too stiff, not too aggressive. Just sit like this, you know, just be yourselves, be normal. Number 3, let's talk about the smile and the smize. Do you remember the smize from Tyra Banks? I don't remember where she said this, but I think it was Project Model or something like that, some really old TV series where she was coaching women to become models. So at a photo shoot, she would say that if you're not gonna smile with your mouth, make sure you smile with your eyes. And then you kind of do this thing of smiling with your eyes, basically, and you end up looking much more effective and with much more kind of drama in you. But we do not want to over dramatize things when we want to send off the right signals to men. There is nothing more putting off than a woman who is very theatrical. We want to look natural, we want to look normal. But I definitely think, first of all, the smile is essential. You have to have the smile. Men love a woman who smiles. But at the other hand, we cannot smile too much either, because when we smile too often, too much, you almost look a little bit easy, a little bit desperate, and a little bit like, look at me, you know, type of thing. And that's not what we want to go. We want to be a little bit hard to get in the end of the day. So that's when the smiles come handy, because you can actually give a smile to a man without actually giving him a smile, if that makes sense. I'm talking about a smile with your eyes when you feel like you cannot really go all in on a regular smile. So if you are seeing somebody in a restaurant and instead of looking at him and, you know, it's a bit too much sometimes. We wouldn't want to do that at all, by the way. No, but instead you can just, you know, do a little smize. Do you see what I mean, ladies? So unless the man is absolutely crazy in some way, most men who are decent and normal men, they want a woman who is a kind woman. And when you are having the smile or the smize in you, then you are just sending off your kindness. I definitely think that being a bitchy woman, it can definitely suit for some people, but I talk general rules now. And general rules might not be applicable in every scenario, which is why every dating advice always have to be taken with a little bit of pinch of salt, because it always have to be applicable to your unique situation and person. So kind of a little FYI there. Now let's talk about number 4, and I want to talk to you about touching your hair gently. Okay, there is something that we do not want to do, and that is having that nervous tick, you know, when a girl is all the time doing this or like, I don't know, playing with her hair somehow. That is not what we want. We want to gently just drag a little bit of attention to our hair, in the sense that it comes natural. You do it at a time where it's not about your hair. Let's say you are talking to somebody and as you are telling him something, you are gently just kind of doing something like that, to kind of just drag his attention a little bit to you in that little more sensual way. And why the hair? Well, as I was talking about the hip action, hips are very important for men. They get attracted by it. Men also get attracted by hair on a woman. And I'm not talking hair in the wrong places. I'm talking about the hair on her head. So a little, a little touch or something that is not too theatrical again, something, gentle. You always want to have the gentle movements. And you really want to do it in a situation where it's not like, okay, 1, 2, 3, I'm going to do it now. You want to do it as a kind of, you're talking about something that happened yesterday, and yes, it was so difficult, and yes, that is kind of with the hair. But just don't go into a nervous tick and start playing with it or doing it a bit too often. The more you do it, the more awkward it's going to look like. So make sure you pick your battles and place them strategically. If this is a man where it's not awkward to have a little bit of physical contact, then number 5 is definitely worth doing. This would be a good strategy if you're, for instance, on a date, or if you know a man as a friend, but you want him to be your lover or your husband or whatever you want him to become. So physical touch, it is important, and we bond with people through physical touch. Now, you don't want to be clingy and clinging on to somebody, and neither do you want to be like a sleazy woman. After all, a man should be taking initiatives here, but it's okay to quickly and gently and very kind of subconsciously and subtly make some small touches. Okay, let me give you an example. You're talking to him and you are sitting across each other. Let's say this hand is his. You are putting your hand gently on him as you say something, 2 seconds maximum, and then you remove it. Or if you're standing behind him, you can easily place your hand on his back, 2 seconds maximum, and gently remove. So it's kind of like those type of subtle touches, light touches. You really want to also be light in your touch, not like that, or, nothing aggressive. We want to be soft and feminine and sensual. Sensuality is really important here. But again, it cannot be theatrical. All he has to know is that it was by accident. You were talking about something. You really have to do it as you are talking, not when he is talking. Well, okay, in some situations, if he's being very expressive about something and you just do that gently, that can work, but usually it's a safer bet to do it when you are talking. Because like that, you just did it, you weren't really thinking about it, and he probably picked it up somehow, but it wasn't like in his face, I'm now touching you type of thing. All has to happen naturally, remember. Now let's stay with the physical touch a bit more, and let's touch our own wrists, ladies. Okay, so we do not want to go vulgar now. We want to do something that is very natural again. And why touching the wrist? Well, first of all, it's a signal that when you're lifting up your hands, you have nothing to hide. It's almost like it signals a little bit of vulnerability, but not in the sense of, I'm so desperate, come and take me type of thing. No, what I'm trying to explain here is that when you are talking or as you're listening, you are simply just touching yourself gently, your own wrist. Nothing like you have a tick or something, more like it's something that you just do for a little split second or two, nothing more than that. Some women start playing with their bracelets. I don't really think that's a good idea because that can definitely come across as a nervous tick, even though the action itself is kind of similar to this one. But yeah, if you are telling him about something and you just touch yourself a little bit gently like that, you would be surprised how your own gentle touch on yourself actually can play a very big impact on a man. He will pick up on small body language, things like that, and he will start going in his head about what that can mean, definitely. But as long as you play it out natural and not theatrical, then it won't look forced and he won't be awkwarded by it, if that makes sense. By the way, ladies, I have a free cheat sheet where you can meet affluent men. I have gathered over 210 places. If you visit millionaireplaces.com, you can get this free cheat sheet today, so don't miss that. Number 7, and all of you proper ladies, you might also try this one out, even though it might come as a shock. But I'm here to share you my best tips, so here we go. When you are in communication with a man or even non-verbal communication, let's say it's somebody you haven't even spoken to, maybe it's some stranger or something, start thinking very sensual thoughts in his presence. But don't make any, actions from it. Don't start putting on some vulgar show just because you are thinking some very naughty thoughts. No, I'm saying sit with that energy of sensuality, and only you know what's happening inside your mind in that very second. But would you be surprised to know that actually men pick up on energy more than you would think? And this is a really good strategy to, without having to express yourself in terms of verbally or doing something with your body, but just by sending out your thoughts, and they're sensual, and you're just kind of letting them all out. And trust me, he will pick it up subconsciously. And it's very interesting. I've shared this tip to my students in my online finishing school and also to my friends. And I can tell you, I've had quite a few who came back to me and said, "Oh, do you know what happened? That stranger who, the cute guy I saw, I did that what you said and it worked. He came up to me and we exchanged numbers. Thank you." You see, ladies, I have used this in the past. It has always worked. Whenever I kind of plant a seed, I want that man, and I make sure to send out as much thoughts to it without showing it, obviously. And somehow it always works. Number 8. Place gently and elegantly your hand on your chest. Yes, you heard me right. I'm not saying do this. I'm saying, no, did he say that? Really? Those quick little touches, again, on yourself, on body parts that you know he gets attracted to. It's absolutely okay to show him the way if you do it naturally and quickly and gently. And always with femininity. That's the secret sauce in the School of Affluence. Number 9, and we need to think about the tone of our voice. Now, I'm not a voice coach, and I'm not really a speech coach either. I have my own struggles, but if there's something I have definitely learned throughout the years, it's how do I sound when I'm a little bit more aggressive, and how do I sound when I'm more happy and positive and more gentle. So it is very important to be a little bit more soft-spoken with men. You don't want to be a little pushover girl, but you also do not want to be, this aggressive woman who has the voice of a man almost. This is definitely not elegant. I would definitely say just try and find that balance somewhere in the middle. You might have to experiment with this at home. You might have to record yourself on camera or on voice note on your iPhone, but definitely do things like this because you start becoming more aware with your own voice. Some of you have actually asked me if I have done any voice training, and I haven't, and maybe I should actually. I wouldn't mind. If anybody is a speech coach, definitely get in touch because I'm all about improving myself and transformation. That's something I'm very passionate about. But you can definitely improve your tone of voice simply by just doing this little tweak, and it's about adjusting your level, and it's also about kind of becoming more aware with how you speak and kind of what tone you put on your words. So it's all about practice and awareness. Number 10, ladies, and I want to tell you that of all the things that we have spoken about today, what's really important is to have, I'm gonna repeat myself, and that's why I had to put a number 10 on its own point because it is that important. Do everything with balance. Really do not overdo it. Do not underdo it either. Just tone it up if you need to tone it up. Tone it down if you need to tone things down. We are all very different and we all have our different issues. Some of you I know can be a little bit too much, can be a little bit too aggressive, too vulgar, too provocative, nothing wrong with that. And if some of you feel hurt by this information, try and be a little bit more open-minded because ultimately we're not saying that you are bad or you are wrong. We're just saying that it's very easy to adopt bad habits today, and what my job is here to basically help you overcome and fine-tune certain things that can just be a little bit more fine-tuned and improved. And same to you if you are somebody who really needs to switch it up a bit. Somebody perhaps who have zero sensuality or femininity in you. Somebody who really needs to get out of your shell and be a woman. And it's so beautiful to be a woman. And especially when you have all this power over all these men, because men become weak with a feminine woman. You don't even have to be beautiful. If you have the right amount of dose of femininity, you will really rule this world because, believe me, men will become your slaves. And that's the positive thing of being a woman. So make sure that we stick to our guns. We're feminine, we are gorgeous, we are amazing women, and we're not running after men. Men are running after us because we know where the power lays, and it is in our feminine energy in the end of the day. So having said, ladies, I want you to check out the video, Things That Rich Men Notice in a Woman, because that video is definitely an additional complement to this video, and I want you to really absorb everything that I say so that you are able to either attract the man you want in this new year or perhaps improve your existing relationship. Now, I will see you in that video.